believe it or not, we only have about 50 minutes left. So no, 30, 40 minutes left. And then we're finished. So because we are at the time we are at, I want to take a few minutes and just remind everyone to head over to the exhibitors and vendors before they close down close down shop, so to speak, and say hi, see what they're about. If they may have some goodies that they're giving away. I mentioned Continuum earlier this morning, that are giving away some AirPods or earbuds, I think it was. With that little piece of paper away now, sorry. But they have some giveaways. Go see them and see what they're all about, and enter their draws. And any other vendor, give them a talk. None of us would be here. The conference would not be going on if we didn't have vendors like a Recovery Planner and Premier, Continuum, and Vanguard and DRI and BCI and so many others. Get Ready and BlackBerry, who are here, and we wouldn't be able to do this without them. So go see them. Step in, say hi, and see what they're all about. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You might win something. So go in and say hi, and hopefully next year we'll actually be able to meet face to face. So we were talking earlier about my presentation, and I think it went well. I had to rush through a couple of little bits. And if you've been listening to me for the last couple of days and listened in on the session, you probably realized I'd given away quite a bit of my information without even realizing it. It was just things that I wanted to talk about and bring up. And when I started rehearsing last night, I went, oh my goodness, I said this, and all these different things today. I've given half my presentation away. So today was interesting, though, because with a shorter time frame, I had to rush through it and skipped a few people. I did. There was somebody I wanted to call out and mention that I didn't get to say during the presentation, and that was Professor David Lindstedt and Mark Armour from the Adapted BC movement. I'm certified with them as well as DRI and BCI, and they had a couple of comments that I just wanted to bring up now because I had to skip over them, unfortunately, during the presentation. It wasn't intentional. It was just trying to get to some other pieces as well. And one of the things that they had said that I would have been talking about under lessons learned was start where you are, meet your clients or your customers, where they are. When you experience a disaster, what's the first thing you think of? Is it, do you think of your BIA, or do you think of how do we prevent this situation from reoccurring? That's where they are. So honestly, what's front and foremost in your thoughts is that situation you either are experienced or just experienced. And you want to address that right away. So that's where they are. So with lessons learned, go there. Meet them where they are. There's nothing wrong with doing detailed BIAs and everything, but at the end of the day, they're going to turn around and say, well, we had that situation 6 months ago. What have you done about it? Well, we did a BIA. Excuse me. They're going to want to see something more. They're going to want that comfort level that the situation they just had, whether it be an operations issue, a system failure, whatever, fire, flood, that it's not going to happen again. And that something is in place to prevent it or a stronger plan to respond to it. So, to David and Mark, apologies for not mentioning you, but you're getting it now. So they've been on the show 4 or 5 times now. Great guys to talk to. And one thing I have noticed from just speaking to the last couple of people, I think I was speaking, the last person I interviewed, Jeffrey Tiefertiller. Yes, and he's an industry expert, been around for a long time. That a lot of people have knocked David and Mark for the Adapted BC movement, saying, what they have to say about BIAs and risk assessments. I'm starting to lose my voice after all this talking. but they've received a lot of flack, about changing the way of doing our program and showing some value. But if COVID has taught us anything, it's we do have to change, the way we are doing things. COVID is making us change. It's giving an opportunity for us to change, to make change, to show our value, to really bring our message out there. We have this opportunity now, and some part of that is we may need to consider changing the BIA, the way we do it. Not necessarily get rid of it, but change the way we do it. If you get rid of it, that's fine. Every organization is different. They may not want a BIA, and that's fine. If they don't, well, then you've got different ways of doing things. And I think we have to start as an industry embracing some of these changes and opportunities that are coming our way. David and Mark, like I said, they got lambasted. I remember in a few posts reading on LinkedIn and other articles, but after talking with Jeffrey Tiefertiller, he was kind of saying the same thing, that you can't always use the same cookie cutter approach with everybody. If all organizations are supposedly different and people are all individuals and different and cultures are different, then how can we use the same cookie cutter approach? We have to look at different ways of doing things. And Jeffrey Tiefertiller was actually kind of, I don't want to say promoting Mark and David. That wouldn't be fair. That would be putting words in his mouth. But was kind of backing up what they were saying. There are different ways of doing things, and we have to consider that going forward. So shout out to David and Mark. Apologies for missing you. And did I miss anybody else? I think there was one other person I missed. Oh, yes, under people. I did mention her, but I did forget this one point, probably because my arm was on the paper, so I missed her name here. Julia Halsney, who's from the East Bay Municipal Utilities Department out in the San Francisco Bay Area. That in the area of people, she was saying that not everybody wants to be informed about BCM initiatives, or awareness sessions or receive information. So what they do, they may not do it, because this was actually from a couple of years ago when I spoke with her. And what they used to do is have people sign a form saying that they didn't want to be involved. They didn't want to receive notices. They didn't want to be on a call list or whatever the case may be. And they reviewed that regularly. And it was signed by new hires as well, so that if something did occur and you chose not to be notified, well, then you weren't notified. You didn't receive that text, like, that those annoying texts, you are being notified because of such and such, if you said you didn't want that, well, you signed the form. So you can't really turn around and say, hey, you didn't tell me X, Y, Z, information when you've already opted out of it. So they've used that, but they do review that on a yearly basis. It's not a one-time thing. If you opt out saying, I don't want to receive notices, I don't want to be involved. Okay, well, that's fine, but you'll be asked again in the future. A year later, can you confirm this? And if you've had incidents, and you haven't been involved, the chances are pretty good you're going to change and sign that. Yeah, I do want to be notified, because when something happened last time, I didn't know what to do. Nobody contacted me. And then you're kind of deflecting and pointing finger back at other people when it was really your own fault. But it ensures that people that do get involved, with whatever aspect of the program, participate in tests, of which, if I recall correctly, talking with Julia, she said, that does get rotated. A couple of tests may involve, let's say, I'll use myself as an example. I may be involved with a couple of tests, but then, after I've gone through 2 or 3 of them, and I've gotten used to what my role is going to be, whether it be really a hectic role, a detailed role, or something really simple, I've learned what my participation and the expectations of me are. My alternate then has to participate in these tests, and I take a step back, so that we learn the same thing, and then we're supposed to talk, if there's any changes, here's what I learned, during my test, and pass that back on to me going, oh, that changed. I didn't know that, or we made an update to a plan because of this test, and this is what we need to do. So it keeps people involved, which I think is a great way of doing it. And I mentioned also that her team reaches out to a lot of partners, community partners. They supply water. So you can imagine the impact would happen to the area that they supply all their water to, should they have an impact and not be able to supply any water. That can be sanitation problems, health problems. You just people could die with no water, right? I think it's more than 2 days without water or something like that is very detrimental to human beings. So they're a very first line industry that needs to have support. So I thought that was a rather interesting, and I want to use one of my own examples, and I think I kind of touched on this speaking with somebody yesterday, that meeting host number 1 wants to join. I wonder who that is. Let's see who that is. Maybe they won't show us a picture. Oh, he did show a picture. Okay. Oh, okay, good. There we go. How you doing, Dan? How are things going with the conference?
I'm going well. I've been bopping around talking to different speakers. I haven't had going back and forth between CRT and DEMCON, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to you or see how well you were doing. I wanted to ask how's the live desk host doing today?
Well, I think I started to lose my voice there at one point during my presentation.
Oh dear.
Lose it, coughing, after a while it dries out. I have a lot of admiration for people that speak for a living now.
Yes. Are speakers coming to you and sponsors?
We've had some people pop in, and at the end of yesterday, I had a couple of emails from people saying that they were listening throughout the day, but just weren't popping into talk or anything. So I thought that was good. There is a few people had said that having a live channel is rather interesting, and a great way to keep them engaged. After a presentation, especially face-to-face type things. You've got 15 minutes and you're going, using your example that you gave yesterday at the Sheraton, going down different floors, you 15 minutes to, running somewhere else. And now with this experience, it's, I got 15 minutes, I'll just listen in, what's being said on the live channel. So it keeps them actually kind of engaged with things. So, I
really appreciate what you're doing, Alice, because it gives some, real life to the virtual platform, right? So
yeah.
The networking tool is a fantastic tool. At the end of the day, you're still typing in your chat to communicate with somebody, whereas here we can really just chat. Well, talk. I mean,
yeah. I have to admit, I do like this. I told Cole earlier, if he's well, I know he is listening, but I told him, I said, if you want to do this again, you can just hire me.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy this, and I'm finding that as I'm talking, I'm remembering more, and giving some examples and listening to other people, and I'm finding this rather interesting just from my own perspective, and hopefully that's a value to conference participants and organizers as well. But
yeah,
I'm liking this experience.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it's from my perspective, it's in the similarity with an in-person conference is the same, where I'm running into a session. In the audience probably doesn't know this, but we open a session 10 to 15 minutes early as prep time for it's not broadcasting for the moderator and the speaker to when do you want the Q&A to start? Do you want me to signal you if we're running short of time? And they work out these details so that they can coordinate that particular session, and then we hit broadcast. So I'm jumping into these prep time sessions to say, everything okay with the speaker? Thank you for coming. So jumping back and forth. And yesterday, again, back to, your thought process as a event professional, you're kind of sometimes get stuck in the in-person mode. And the keynote speaker, normally, like we've condensed the timing for the virtual conference because we know it's hard to sit in front of the computer all day long. So instead of 8 to 5, we condensed it down 10 to 3:30. So I'm looking at, the keynote starts, it's the last session at the end of the day. Well, then I look at my watch and I go, oh my gosh, I got to get there. Because I'm thinking that's like the end of the day, but no, it was at 2:15.
The end of the day is 3 hours earlier.
Yeah. So just little things like that for me, it's kind of caught me off guard a little bit, the condensed time frame.
I found this interesting. What I really found interesting about an hour ago is that I was, an hour and 20 minutes ago, I was more nervous talking about my presentation than I was about the live channel.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
As I was sitting with Yvonne and Monique, as we were going through our 15 minutes of checking, making sure everything works, I found myself getting more nervous, and yet this channel is all live and I have no idea who's listening, and I wasn't nervous at all. But starting to talk, on the presentation, I was, and unfortunately, I made it to 35 minutes, the full 30 minutes type thing. So I didn't get any Q&A, unfortunately. And I think that's probably because I've been talking so much that as I was going through my presentation, I would remember other things. Oh yeah, that point that so-and-so brought up, let's add that as I was going along. And then when, Yvonne had her picture off, or video off, so I couldn't see her. And then when she popped up, I knew that, oh, my time must be getting really short because there's Yvonne. So I wrapped it up. Yeah, so I wrapped it up then, and just finished on time. But I told anyone, if you've got questions or anything, come over here, send me an email.
Absolutely, yeah. Great forum for that, yeah.
I'm not running away from any questions, so I'm always here to give my opinion on things. So, or answer anything that might have come across confusing.
So here's for the viewers watching right now, here's a logistical. I'm not going to call it a product. Just something unexpected we didn't see coming, didn't think it through. So again, in an in-person conference, it's minimum 30, quite often 45-minute breaks, mid-morning break and mid-afternoon break, because that gives people to peruse the exhibits and go to the bathroom in between sessions, grab a coffee, that type of thing. But again, in a condensed format, we made them 15 minutes. Got to keep it tight. The sessions are in channels. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. So the Zoom room for session 1 is supposed to end at a certain time. But the second session, we open the session 15 minutes early as the prep time. So following here is if a speaker is running over their time, they're automatically getting cut off because the next session had to start 15 minutes before.
Yeah, that's what Monique told me.
Had we built in, either made prep time 10 minutes or built in 20-minute break times, they wouldn't be cut off.
Yeah.
But little things here that, we learn and going forward. So.
Right, it's this is new for everybody, right? This whole thing, after a couple, you're not going to have it perfect on the first one or two.
Yeah.
You take those learnings and you carry on and make them better as you go forward. I know Monique mentioned that. She goes, I do have to leave no matter what. Because
the next session has to, because the speaker and moderator for the next session, they want to start their prep time.
Yeah,
we promised them 15 minutes. So
yeah, and I started talking fast at the very end because I knew that was coming. That time was coming. So I thought, okay, I have to go. Thanks everyone. Bye. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to impact the next person. I didn't want Monique to be impacted either. So
yeah, but other than that, I have to tell you, it's been going very smoothly. So we're very happy with what's going on. Of course, feedback is important. So it's interesting. In one hand, we'll take all the feedback and take all our internal notes to make this better next time. But at the same time, we hope there isn't a virtual next time. We hope a year from now we're back in person. So I hope to take all those notes and just throw them away.
Actually, that poses an interesting question. If let's say Happy Path, everything goes fine, and it's a face-to-face conference next year, what would you do with a lot of these learnings and technologies that you've now got in place? Maybe
I was a bit too cavalier there. To be honest and perfectly frank, I think the way going forward, the industry has changed, and I think changed forever, that you're going to see hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Not all conferences and trade shows will adapt to that or want to. There are some that will. I know some events, they have to be in person because the buyers need to touch and feel the product to buy it.
Yeah.
Others can adapt to virtually much easier. Yeah, I can do this online forever. But I see most going hybrid, where you have that option of going in person or virtual at the same time. And for DEMCON and CRT, don't quote me, but the likelihood is probably hybrid going forward. So that even without the pandemic, if you're traveling from the west or east coast and say this year, maybe next year, you'll do it virtually, budgets are tight, so you eliminate the travel cost now.
Yeah.
But that third year, this would be me, that's how I feel. That third year, I go, I got to go in person. I got to meet and greet people directly this time,
Yeah.
I remember my father was in the printing business, and he went to the Canadian printing graphics trade show every year. But every fourth or fifth year, he went to Germany to, the worldwide one for printing. And because he felt, I got to go to the big one every once in a while. So same idea.
Yeah.
What I predict going forward. So
I was thinking the same thing, but it also opens you up to a wider audience, with people that,
Yep.
Japan, or as an example, may see CRT, and then under normal circumstances would just flip right through it and not pay attention. Oh, because that's in Toronto, I can't do that. Oh, but it's a virtual option. Oh, now I might be able to attend. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had thought we have some absolutely international delegates. I thought we'd get more because of what you're saying, and I think over time that will build. But the inhibiting factor is the time zones still.
Yeah.
Right. So we are you have to meet the needs of the majority, and the majority of our audience is Eastern time. So it will stay there to meet the needs of the majority. So if you are in Japan or Australia, you got to get up and stay through the night.
Literally, yeah.
But if the content is what you're looking for, then it's worth it. So it's up to the individual.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this industry changes. I do like this virtual option because there are some conferences that are going virtual, and now, wow, I'm not going to be spending $5,000 on airfare and hotels and food. I'm just spending $500 to go through this virtually.
So
but to your point, every couple, or every 4 or 5 or whatever it may be, I really want to go there. And I'm the same way with the Teams organization, where I sit on their advisory board of directors. They move theirs every year based on their chapters.
Right.
I've been to China, Philippines,
right.
All across Canada, US, Norway, Finland, Germany. So they move as well. And now that there's the virtual option, I'm not going to be going to Paris this year, which unfortunately, it would have been a great one. But the next one is somewhere in the Far East, and I can't remember where. But I'll try to travel for that one. So So I had the same thinking that you just went through.
Yeah. Alex, I'm sorry. I just wanted to pop in, say hello again, see how you're doing. Hello, audience. I got to run because our closing panel is going to be starting in about 20 minutes, and I have to jump into that one in the prep time is coming up.
15
So
minutes. 15 minutes.
I gotta get in there with the moderators and speakers, make sure that they're got everything they need.
Yeah, I finish here at 2:30 and 15 minutes, and I'll have a quick break, and then I'll be popping in. I want to listen to that one.
Should be a very interesting closing panel. I mean, it's all about how this pandemic has changed your job as a business continuity professional or as an emergency management professional. How it's changed it now, and thoughts on how it's going to change down the road. So should be a good one.
Yeah, that's what I really want to listen to. So I'm okay with finishing a little early.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to miss out on that one. So
Alex, thank you so much. We'll chat later.
Yes, thanks, Dan. Thanks for popping in, and we'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Take care. And anyone that was listening will know that was Dan Joyce. He was one of the key event coordinators for CRT and DIMCON. So I'm sure he was pulling out his hair quite a bit, and going crazy. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.